quite important. And what an amazing story of how that, one thing just leading into the other, like from a 2-minute speech to getting a recommendation letter, not just one, but two. That is quite amazing. And by the way, I'm loving our pink matching outfits.
It's brilliant. The synchronicity is just
You
awesome.
would have thought we planned it. So if you're not on YouTube, you want to check us out. I love it. Welcome to the True Elegance Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bunmi Akinkugbe, also known as Dr. B. Through solo episodes and guest sessions, we delve into the timeless qualities of style, grace, and sophistication, and uncover what makes you truly elegant. So, sit back, relax, and let's get started on this empowering journey of becoming truly elegant. Hello, Elegant Tribe. Welcome to another episode of the True Elegance Podcast, where we focused on the character, confidence, and poise that makes you the elegant lady, radiating beauty from the inside out. Today, I have with me a confidence and public speaking coach, Brenda Chadambura, who accidentally discovered how to believe in herself and how to speak confidently in speeches from way back in high school. Brenda helps professional and business women to become standout confident speakers who inspire respect and get promoted at work. In her signature method, the standing ovation speaker, Brenda is renowned for unearthing the gold in each woman she works with. Join me in welcoming Brenda to the True Elegance podcast today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bunmi. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. It's good to have you. I'd like us to start from that journey. Like, how did it all start and how did you get to where you are today?
Yes, absolutely. It all started in high school, where I was the head girl of my school. And for anyone who doesn't know what head girl is, it's like you are the student leader of the school. And at the end of each year, there was a prize giving ceremony, and the head boy and head girl were required to give a speech. And I loved everything about serving as head girl. I loved serving the kids and everything else. But the one thing that I was dreading was giving this speech. And of course, and I'm sure a lot of every listener who's listening to this understands what that feels like, where you're just hoping it will go away, but it won't. And you're just, dreading the days as they get closer. And finally, of course, I had to actually prepare the speech. And then I had done a draft of it, and I decided that I would go and ask the advice of a respected colleague that I knew was very good at giving speeches. And I went over to her and asked her, and immediately she said to me, "No, figure
Wow.
it out for yourself."
No way.
that, that was quite a splash of proverbial splash of water on your face.
Uh-huh.
But I am so thankful she did that in that moment, because I realized when I went home and I started to really analyze what had happened there was that I was looking to her for validation
Mm.
and some sort of sense of approval. And I really asked myself the question, do I not believe in myself? Do I not have it in me to trust my own ideas, to trust my own thoughts, and to present those thoughts to other people? And I realized, no, I do. I do actually believe in myself. And I know that what I have to say is valid and worthy. And I need to speak from that. And that's what I did. And I spoke from that. And the speech was a success. People liked it. And I remember afterwards how much I was like, oh my gosh, I think I've just fallen in love with public speaking. And because I actually realized that I like being in front of people and presenting my ideas to them. And Dr. Bunmi, it's interesting that I would have had this fear because I did debate in high school. I did plays in high school. So you
Wow.
would think that confidence would be there. But
Uh-huh.
when it was now me presenting my own ideas by myself, it was different. And I think for a lot of people, they might feel badly that I should be feeling confident because I'm so good at so many other things. So why am I feeling this nervous? But it's perfectly okay for this isolated incident where suddenly you don't trust yourself and you're a little bit nervous, and you actually, it's okay for you to feel that way and you can get over it. So that was
Wow.
my story. I fell in love with public speaking, and then if I'll share very quickly where
Sure.
after that I started to really pursue public speaking in every arena that I could. And in college, now I was in the United States, and I was taking Toastmasters. I would tell people about it. I felt like I was the Pied Piper for telling people about Toastmasters. And and I was leading in all sorts of different ways. And then the senior year of my college was when I was there was an international student lounge that was being opened. And the as the president of the International Students Association, which I was required to give a 2-minute speech at the opening ceremony.
Okay.
And I was really busy. I was taking a lot of classes, honors classes, and heavily involved. So I didn't have time to prepare for like a written speech. So what I did instead was I had cliff notes in my head of what I wanted to say, and then I just spoke off the cuff at the ceremony. And I thought nothing else more of it until about a week later, when I got a call from the Dean of Health who was at that ceremony. And he told me that he was so impressed with how I'd spoken that he
Wow.
wanted to offer me a letter of recommendation for medical school if I wanted it.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I'll
That is
never forget that
amazing.
moment. I will never forget that moment because I'd always known how powerful public speaking was. But that was a light bulb moment where I realized this opens doors of opportunities for you that you don't even have to push the door anymore. The
Uh-huh.
door is opened wide open for you when
Wow.
you are able to speak and articulate your ideas well.
Wow.
And and then and then of course I was actually studying international business, and so I thankfully declined. But then right after that I got another call from the dean of business who did know me, and because we had done lots of projects together, and she was there too, said the same thing and asked me to be the student commencement speaker for that
Wow.
semester because I was graduating. And again, I was just taken aback by the value of your voice, the value
Mm-hmm.
of you standing up and speaking and expressing your ideas, and how much people then understand who you are. They believe in you more, and now they want to support you. I mean, that's what happened here.
Right.
People now wanting to take you out and show you out to the world without you
Uh-huh.
even doing anything. And
Wow.
that's what I'm so excited to do.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I love that. The power of your voice and the value of your voice. Every voice is quite important. When we talk about public speaking, many times what comes to mind for most individuals is, okay, you're a keynote speaker at a graduation ceremony, or you're the preacher in church, standing there for 30 minutes, or the what? Just like the big stages, but shed a little bit more light on public speaking, because I believe right now this is a virtual stage where we're having a public speaking moment and the
Yes.
many other moments in our lives.
Absolutely. And of course, as you're saying that, I'm busy shaking my head because I this is one of the things that I'm continuously encouraging and illuminating people about, that at least from my perspective and how I see things, public speaking is every time you are having a conversation with someone
Mm,
one on one, with 1 to 5, 1 to 10, 1 to 10,000. It's a conversation. And it's one that you're having every day. So public speaking shouldn't be one of those things that we see as an event. It's happening all the time. And that's actually really good because that means you get to practice your speaking skills in everyday life, as opposed to thinking what I'm doing right now doesn't really matter. No, it does. Every time you are speaking and you're expressing yourself, it is having an effect on the person you're speaking to.
right.
And I have seen this play out even with my clients who will have conversations with their bosses where they stood stood up for something and spoke up about something. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I'm thinking of one client where she was asked to be in a meeting, and this was with very high stakes people of the hospital that she was working in, and she was asked to be one of the representative of a department, and they had something that they were discussing that was going to change the policy that was quite big. And suddenly she found herself having this voice of conviction, and she spoke up
Wow.
and just it gave her opinion, and everyone stood still and everyone listened. And and then after that, like maybe like a year or two after that, her boss who was in that meeting said that had he not heard her speak in that meeting, he wouldn't have recommended her for the promotion she ended up getting.
Wow. That's awesome.
This is the power of conversation. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be in a meeting. It can just be you having coffee with your boss where you're just expressing your ideas about something,
Right.
and
Right.
how much that lights him up and allows him to see the value and the worth that you carry in terms of your ideas, that he now remembers you because you spoke up.
Yes, definitely. Wow, I love that. So speak up, speak up, speak up. Let's talk about a few myths about public speaking. Like we've tackled one of them, the fact that it doesn't have to be on a big stage. Can you tell us like a few more myths out there that you want to bust today about public speaking?
Yes. I think there are a number that I always, again, get very excited to share and to just illuminate. The one that I hear a lot of, obviously, is thinking that it kind of relates to what we just talked about, is thinking that if I'm not naturally a born public speaker, I will never be one. No, public speaking is very much a learned skill. This is something that you can learn and master and become so good at and actually get so excited about that you would be amazed. In fact, I saw a statistic, Dr. Bunmi, that said 90% of people who learn public speaking get better at it.
Right.
And that's such an encouraging statistic
Mm-hmm.
because it just frees you to know that you are not, like an exception. You have it in you to speak well. You just need someone to guide you step by step to get you there, and you will get there and actually be excited. That's one.
Beautiful.
The other one that I hear, or I really feel like I wanted to address this one especially, is because you're nervous. Like if you're nervous, the advice that most people are given is picture people naked. Picture your audience.
Really?
I love that.
What's that gonna do? That's not gonna
Maybe
help.
I doubt it's gonna help. But ultimately, for the woman who is listening to this, who I'm sure cares about people, who wants to believe in herself and
Mhm.
also wants to truly make a deep connection with her audience, how can you diminish you thinking and diminishing someone in your head help you to connect with your audience? It's counterproductive
Right.
and it doesn't work, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because every time we are speaking, I always say this to any of my clients, that public speaking is about a positive connection with yourself as well as a positive connection with your audience, with anyone you're speaking to. And that's what we should always be aiming for. And again, that is so freeing, because then if you know that I'm just one human being speaking to another human being, there's no need for me to feel nervous about speaking to them. And they're just as vulnerable as I am. And if I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to speak to them with that level of desire for connection and see them as people who need my help, I'm going to be golden. I'm
Right.
going to be so confident, and I'm going to speak from my heart, and people are going to love it.
Beautiful.
That's a much better approach than picturing people naked.
Yes, yes, definitely.
And I'll just mention one more that I feel like is important to address right now with anyone who's listening, any of the ladies, is this is the one that I think a lot of people have a nagging thought that they don't always say, but they think that people are judging me.
Oh,
That's actually
yeah.
not true. Your audience is cheering you on.
Wow.
Firstly, if you have people standing in front of you, they want to learn from you. They're there to get something, to glean something from you.
Yep.
And again, from one human being to another human being, No one wants to see you suffer. So they actually are cheering for you because they want to see you succeed while you're standing on stage. And so have that belief, first of all, that they're cheering for me. And then secondly, that what they're actually thinking is this: educate me, illuminate me,
Right.
connect with me, inspire me. That's what's going on through their heads. And usually they're there because you probably have a solution that they need. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can provide that for them, wow, they love you for it. So
Right.
while you're busy thinking that they're judging you, they're just yearning to connect with you. They're yearning to learn from you. So let that empower you, ladies, as you're listening to this, that this, as the moment you're standing there, you are the one who is their torch bearer. This is the
Exactly.
other analogy that I always use, that you are their leader. You are now their torch bearer, their guide to a destination that they're trying to get to, and they get to listen to you. And the more you can give them an enjoyable experience, the better. And all it takes is just you showing up, to be honest.
That is so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Like being the touch bearer, instead of just thinking about yourself, think about the value you're giving to, is it one person you're talking to, or a small group, or a bigger group? And I like what you said about connecting with yourself, because many times we think it's all about the other person or the audience, but it's like a two-way street. You have to be grounded and know who you are and connect with yourself, and then you'll be able to bring that out in connecting with other people, whether in conversation, in singing, in expressing your opinion and other things like that. Yes.
Absolutely. In
Yes.
fact, I would say that whenever one of the things that would cause you to be nervous or to feel invisible is usually that you have maybe negative thoughts going on, but it's also because maybe you haven't had a chance to discover who you are
Right.
and to discover specifically who you are in God, because God
Mm.
made you so beautifully. In
Yes.
Psalm 139, he talks about he made you fearfully and wonderfully.
Yes.
And if you can have a much stronger, clearer picture of who you are, it immediately gives you this incredible sense of boldness and
Mm-hmm.
desire to be seen by the world. If you're filled with negative thoughts about yourself, or you just don't, what I call a fuzzy picture of yourself, if you have a fuzzy picture of yourself, then it's almost like you're vulnerable because you're waiting for other people to define you.
Mm.
And what you need instead is to have a clear definition ahead of time of who you are.
Who you are.
And that's something that we all need anyway, you know,
Right.
that we
Right.
all need to know that this is the definition of who I am. Of course, we will have things that will change, that will evolve, but there has
Mm-hmm.
to be a clear, beautiful picture of who you are that you're carrying that allows you to show up in the world and say, here I am, look at
Right.
me.
Right. Oh, that is so beautiful. I love it. That's one of my favorite scriptures, by the way, because I like talking about how unique we are.
Yeah,
Those unique gifts, talents, personality that God has put in each and every one of us. And like you said, when we know ourselves, embrace our uniqueness and celebrate it, then we can radiate that beauty to the world around us. And those are one of the core pillars of True Elegance Podcast. So it just brightens up my face right there. I love it. So one thing that public speaking is connected to is confidence. And we've touched on that a little bit. But can we talk a little bit more about how women can enhance, develop, or improve their confidence?
so it goes back to, there are two things at least that I noticed that are going to detract from your confidence: negative thoughts, self critical thoughts of yourself. And what I call those negative thoughts, it's almost like they become a veil over your face. Because if you are continuously thinking, oh, why did I do that? Why can't I do this better? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be found out. I'm so stupid. My goodness, why can't I look better? You know, or can you imagine, this is the narrative that's continuously going on in your head.
Hmm.
that is immediately going to stop you from in any way seeing yourself, the value and the worth that you have. And
Right.
what happens is that it creates a veil, what I call a veil over you, where you cannot see yourself in any positive light.
Mm.
And so it becomes really important that you get rid of those negative thoughts and then start to ask and to spend time with God and asking God, how do you see me? And there are a number of ways for you to discover who you are actually that are kind of unique.
Okay.
Your story, you would be amazed. And story is one of those things that has been talked about quite a lot recently, but your story, in terms of the things that you have done, even in your childhood, you will discover that there are some incredibly bold and brazen things that you probably did even when you're a child that
That's
you
true.
need to embrace. And you even want to embrace the current things that you have gone through. Like I'm thinking of a client who, I mean, she's amazing. She has her own physical therapy business, and she 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 came to a different city, got into the college for physical therapy after some all sorts of hurdles, and she did all of this without knowing anyone in that city. And when I highlighted how amazing that was, because most people when they face the first hurdle they just give up, you know, but she was like, no, this is mine. She went after it. So look at those stories of resilience,
Mm-hmm.
of jumping hoops, of overcoming. Those
Right.
are the stories that you need to embrace because that's you. And look at the stories of things that you created. That's you. Look at the
So true.
stories of you having spoken up somewhere. That's you. Look at the stories where you helped someone and you advocated for someone. That's you. That's what makes you so incredible and so beautiful. And you need to embrace that. And when you start doing that, you start to see, oh my goodness, there's a lot more to me that I'm giving
Uh-huh.
myself credit to. And it has nothing to do with looks, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's all about the internal brilliance and power that you carry that God has given you.
Wow.
And so that's one thing. The other thing that I was going to mention is look at your name, the
Okay.
power in your name. There is power in your name. If you look at the Bible, look at how many times there is a reference to do with names and what they
Mm-hmm.
mean, even to do with the names that God has and the names that Jesus has. There's a reason for that because there is incredible power in your name.
Wow.
And I would encourage you right now, for anyone who's watching, to go and look at the meaning of your name.
Uh-huh.
You would be surprised. And Dr. Bumi, I did look up your name.
Yay! I was just about to tell you, but yeah, you spill it.
It's a gift of God.
Yes,
I
a
loved
gift
it.
from God.
This is perfect. You know, look at all the work that you're doing in your professional life, but and also now with this podcast and everything else. You are truly a gift from God. And I bet your family and your friends would say the same thing.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's incredible. So look at your name. And honestly, sometimes, even if it looks like your name doesn't have like a strong meaning, ask God about it. And even if it has a negative meaning, ask God about it and say, God, what do
Hmm.
you say over myself? Because you would be surprised by what you start to discover through things like that. But look at your story, look at your accomplishments, look at your name and see the value that's there that you have not maybe have not recognized. And there's one more exercise that I always encourage anyone I work with to do, and that is sit down and write down 10 positive things about yourself. We have done, I'm sure this exercise has been done over and over again, but you would be amazed by sometimes when we actually make ourselves sit down and think of 10 things that you like, positive things about yourself, how sometimes it can be hard because we're so used. And what's amazing whenever I do this exercise with my clients is first tell me the negative things about yourself. Oh, they start crazy.
You're gonna need some extra paper. Wow.
Then now let's list 10 things about who you are and the positive things you see in yourself. And that takes a bit of time. And
Hmm.
that is actually, that just allows us to recognize that we need to connect more with the beauty and the value that we have inside of us because there is a lot.
Wow.
And do that exercise. And especially if any other ladies do it, Even if you get to number 5 and you're really having a hard time, make yourself sit and finish to number 10, and you'll be so satisfied that you did, because you'll start to see things that you really had not seen. And sometimes they might surprise you, almost like they're too good to be true, but that's
Wow.
usually a sign that you're spot on.
Wow. That is so beautiful. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And by the way, what does Brenda mean, or your last name you want to share with us as
Yes.
well?
Yes, I my name has a number of meanings. So it means beacon on a hill
Oh, beautiful.
or sword, which I love. Both of those I love. Beacon on a hill. I feel like that's exactly what I'm doing as a public speaking coach, is that I get to stand in front of a hill and 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 speak to people and encourage them. That's my desire, is always to encourage people to see
Mhm.
the fullness and the best of what God created in them.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And of course, yes, that exercise about, writing things down about yourself. I also want to encourage all the listeners to take time to do that. Sometimes it might just be, like you said, stories of who we are, what we've done, our accomplishments, the things you like, and maybe
Mhm.
the things you don't like. It might also point to what values you hold close to yourself, and maybe after you've worked on doing that for yourself, maybe you could also reach out to folks that are close to you, your significant other, a close friend, a family member you trust, to like, hey, what is one thing you've noticed about me that really shines through all the time? And
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
speaking those words and those things to ourselves will help us to also improve that appreciation and build the confidence.
Yeah, that leads me actually to another tip that I would give right there, is when you have done that list, start declaring it over yourself. Like declare, and when I say declare, I'm meaning it's between you and God, where you're saying, God, I now see these things about me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
declaring them before you. And you are now almost like taking ownership of those things and saying, these are mine, and
Right.
I'm going to choose to walk in them. So it's very much like you can say something like, I am beautiful. I
Yes.
am a networker. Or you can say, thank you, God, that I am a networker. Whichever one you want, whichever one resonates and feels right. And another small tip that I would give is record yourself declaring that, so that you listen to it continuously, even before you go to bed, or when you're driving and you just need some encouragement. You're about to get into a meeting that you're a little bit nervous about. Put in your earpods and then hear yourself declaring that. Scientifically, that's actually been proven to be really effective. I think it's called the productive or production effect,
Okay.
where it starts, and it has to be specifically your voice, and that's
Right.
important, that
Okay.
it's your voice speaking to your spirit, to your heart, and it starts to make a deep imprint on you.
Wow. Awesome. That is so beautiful. You can just imagine doing that every day for like a period of 6 months to a year. I'm
Yes,
sure it's definitely transformative.
absolutely. I mean, it really makes a difference. I mean, I feel it even when the few days where I feel like I'm a little bit off my, feeling a little emotionally wobbly, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I haven't been connecting with who I am here. And then you go back to those tried and true things that God has, at least has taught me. One of them is the declarations.
Mm-hmm.
And you will immediately feel like, oh, wait a minute, I'm back. I
That's
know who I
beautiful.
am, and I can
Beautiful.
focus and I can go for it.
Yes, yes.
I wanted to just, I think it would be good to just give a few tips that are
Okay.
helpful for any of the ladies in terms of their speaking and how to show up confidently. This always gets me excited. Like, like, the first thing is just your body language. Allow yourself everywhere you go to look up and to have your shoulders back. Allow people to see you. That is actually going to help you with your confidence. And it looks elegant anyway, like you're showing yourself to the world. You're proud of yourself, and God is proud of you. So what do you have to be ashamed of? Really show, look up, put your shoulders back, And smiling has been known to be extremely contagious. The moment people see you smiling, they reciprocate. So even that sense of you thinking that people are judging you goes away because people immediately respond by smiling back at you. So
Yes.
smile, obviously in appropriate situations, not at
Okay.
situations. And and then the other thing that I really helps with your confidence is how you start speaking in the first place. Most people will start speaking this way. Um, um, my name is Brenda, and I'm really thankful to be here. Thank you, Dr. Bunmi, for having me. What is your response to that, Dr. Bunmi?
I have no words.
and and we all do it, and and I think especially when we're in a room where everyone is doing it, we just want to follow the trend of what everybody else is doing. But I say stand out by being the one who speaks clearly and confidently, and here's how you do it. You immediately do not start any of your sentences with an start with a strong word. So it could be that you say something like this: hello, my name is Brenda Chadambura, and I'm excited to be in this meeting with you all.
That's awesome.
That is you attracting attention in the most positive way. And it might feel uncomfortable a little bit because people are going to look at you because they're so impressed with how you just spoke. But you'll get
Right.
used to it. You'll get used to it because this is how you're supposed to show up. And this is you now showing up as the standout woman you want to be. And what is amazing is not even about how people are going to respond, it's about how you are going to feel. You're going to feel so sure of yourself and so strong. Even in the later discussion, you're going to find that the way you express your opinion is going to have an effect. In fact, I'm thinking of a client who was in a room. She was the only woman, and she was in a room with all these dark suited men, as she called them, dark suited men. And she was the only one there. And she felt intimidated for a few seconds. And then she remembered some of the things that we talked about. And then she started to put them into practice. Speak clearly, strong, clear voice. Use a strong, clear, and friendly voice everywhere you go, and allow people to really understand what you're saying. Halfway through, and this was with very high level dignitaries of the city, and she was saying all of this, and what happened was the halfway through, one of the leaders, I won't say who it was, but one of the leaders who was in this meeting was now coming and referring to her and saying, what do you think, what do you think, what do you
Wow.
think?
That's amazing.
That meant she had built credibility and authority by how she was speaking and how she was answering their questions. And this is the power that I hope for every woman who's watching, she gets to now start using that. Just use a strong, clear, and friendly voice. Do not start with an and make sure that at the end of your sentences, you do not use a questioning tone. Use a strong definitive voice, meaning do not sound like you're asking a question. Sound like you're sure of yourself. And those are my 3 tips. No ums, strong, clear, and friendly voice, and strong, definitive end to your sentences as I'm speaking right now. If I were to say it differently, I would say strong and clear sentences. Can you hear the difference?
Right.
Yeah. Because it sounds like I'm doubting myself, don't I? Yeah. And that is amazing how much of a negative effect it has on you emotionally, but also on the people who are hearing you. So those are the
Wow.
3 things that I would encourage every lady to take with them today and to start using.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad we didn't miss that. That was a powerful finish to what we've been talking about. And I love that part about the strong finish,
Mhm.
because many times when we leave it in like a question mode, even folks that didn't want to ask any questions before will now start wondering like, oh, were we supposed to ask something? Is she really sure of what she was saying? Maybe there's more to it, like, and then you just put yourself in another whirlwind of doubt and lack of
Yes,
confidence.
that's exactly it. And that's
Okay.
what we do not want for ourselves or for anyone to think of us.
Awesome. Awesome. Beautiful. Wow, Brenda, this has been amazing. It's like we should go on, but I want folks to connect with you and be able to, take more of this and take it beyond where we've started today. Like you all can see, Brenda is super fired up and has been through the experience of developing her confidence and helping other women to do the same. So I'd like for you to share with the audience today what services you offer and how they can stay connected with you.
Absolutely. One of the things that I notice whenever someone I would imagine right now, if there's a lady who's thinking of giving a presentation, wants to do a webinar or something like that, you're probably thinking, I really want to, but. And usually the but is you're imagining the day of the presentation and how nervous you're going to feel and how you're going to get through it. And what I have created is something that will help you to now feel empowered now before you even prepare for any webinar or presentation or any meeting that you have. And it's called Own the Room Strategy. And there are two ways that you can partake of this. So I have a limited number of sessions, like slots on Calendly that you can sign up for, that we will actually go through how to own the room. So it's a strategy that goes into like your tech, your clothes, what to do just before you get on stage, or if you're just about to get on a Zoom webinar, what to do when you're actually presenting, how do you present confidently, how do you connect with your audience, how do you create interactivity, so that you feel so sure and so empowered to actually do the presentation that the preparation is going to be so much easier. So that is a 45-minute free discovery call that I'm offering. And they're limited slots every month, but they're there. And I would love to work with anyone who feels like, I want to do that, because I love talking about this, as you can tell. But if you'd rather not necessarily be on a call, the other way is to get the strategy guide. Please get the strategy guide, because at least you can go through it at your own pace and learn about it and use it every time you have a meeting, a presentation, a webinar. It doesn't matter. Just use it anywhere. It's going to be useful. So those are the two things that I just wanted to share with the ladies so that they can start utilizing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing those. We do appreciate it. And we'll be sure to include those in the show notes and in the comment section on the YouTube video. Wow, it's been amazing, Brenda. Thank you so much for your time today and great connecting with you. We'll definitely be in touch.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Bunmi. Thank you so much for the pleasure. It was such a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to be notified of every new episode. Leave a review and share this podcast with that elegant lady in your life. This is a space where we can come together to empower and inspire each other and leave feeling elevated and enlightened. See you in the next episode.